Hey now, what's up? What's up? We're gonna do some Code Katas. I believe today we are on which one? We are on human readable time. So let's check it out. So it wants us to write a function which takes a non-negative integer in seconds as input and returns the time as a human readable format with hours, minutes, and seconds. Saying hours here, padded to 2 digits, range 0 to 99. So when we get our hours, it's gonna have to be 2 digits. Even if it's just 1 hour, we're gonna have to put a 0 in front of it. You'll see everything's 2 digits. So our minutes, same thing, except the range is different, 0 to 59. Seconds, same thing. The maximum time never exceeds 359,999, which we displayed this way. And it's saying that we can find some examples in our test. Cool. All right, so cool. Let's get into it. And as you can see here, this one's a 5Q. And if you don't know, Code Katas are little mini coding challenges. They rank from 8Q at easiest to 1Q at the hardest. So we're doing a 5Q. So we're kind of middle of the pack right now. But let's go ahead and bring this one down locally. Open it up in VS Code. And let's bring in our title. And we will bring in our function. And so what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to break this down. We're gonna have to break down, see how many hours, first of all, with this amount of seconds that we're given, and then how many minutes, and then how many seconds are left over at the end. So let's go ahead and grab our test. Bring them in. These all need to be console.logs. And let's go ahead and bring down all of our function calls so we can see our output more easily. And you can see here we're passing our function in. This is our function that we're going to create up here. And right here we're passing in the amount of seconds that we want to deal with. And this will be our what we want our eventual output to be. So let's go ahead and start up Quokka. And you can see here we're getting undefined return right now because our code's not doing anything. But this is what we want our eventual output to be. And so I think the first thing we need to do is we need to break down our hours. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say, let's let hours equal... And we want this number to be rounded, so we'll round it down. So we'll go ahead and say math.floor, which will round whatever our answer is. It'll round it down. And we want to say, we want to take our seconds. And we want to divide it by, let's look and see how many seconds are in an hour. So 3,600 seconds. So let's go ahead and divide this by 3,600. So now you can see if we log our hours, we're getting our correct amount of hours. The first 3 tests, we don't even, with the amount of seconds we're given, we don't even get 1 hour. But with our third test down here, you can see that we're getting 23 hours, and then with this one, 99 hours. So this is working correctly. The next thing we want to do is we want to get our minutes. So we'll say let minutes equal, we want to round it down again. And we want to take our seconds and we want to divide it by how many seconds are in a minute, which is 60. But in the ends, we want the remainder left over from after we get our hours. So we're going to do remainder 60. And if we check that out, you can see that we're now getting our correct amount of minutes. With our third test, we have 1 minute, we have one here, 59 minutes, 59 minutes. So that's working correctly. And lastly, we want to get our seconds. So we'll go ahead and call that secs. And we'll let that equal our seconds. And we want the remainder divided by 60. So that'll give us our secs. So if we go ahead and log this out, you can see that the answers are not going to be padded. So we could say return hours plus our little, whatever this is called, our little double dots. Then we could say our minutes plus our little double dots plus our secs. And you can see that it works, except that they're not padded. It's giving us the single digit, and we need it to be doubles. We need every spot to be double digits, and right now we're just getting singles. So instead of writing that code for every single for hours, minutes, and seconds, we're just going to create a little helper function here. We're going to say let pad, because what we're doing is we're padding our number, and we're going to pass in a value to pad. And then what we're going to say is we want to return our we want to say if our value is less than 10, because if it's 10, then it's already going to give us, if it's 10 or greater, it's already going to give us 2 digits. So we don't have to worry about adding the 0 in front. But if it's less than 10, then we need to add that 0. So we'll say if our value is less than, and this is value, is less than 10, and we're using a ternary here, this is like an if statement. If our value is less than 10, then we want to return a 0 plus our value that we're passing in. So that'll give us our, whatever our single digit number is with the 0 in front of it. If our value is not less than 10, then that means it's 2 digits, so we can just go ahead and just return our value as is. Cool. So then what we need to do is call this pad function on our hours, our minutes, and our secs. So what we can do is like this. We can say pad, and that'll call our function on it. We can do the same thing for, and you can see here, now we're getting double digits on our hours. So let's do the same thing for our minutes. Pad. Now we're getting double digits for our minutes. And now we need to do it on secs. Like that. And check it out. All our tests are passing. We're getting double digits on every number. And they are the correct numbers. Cool. So let's go ahead and throw it into Code Wars. Let's test it. Cool. Passed 5 tests. And let's attempt it. Passed all our tests. Cool. So let's go ahead and we can submit it and see what everybody else's answers are. How they came up with the solution. Okay. Cool. So they created a pad function as well, did the same thing, parsent. What did they do here? Plus, okay, so they did the same thing. They just formatted it differently. Did the same thing here. Out.floor.toString. What did they do? They kind of destructured it. Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and do our next one. Basic mathematical operations. So it says our task is to create a function that does 4 basic mathematical operations. The function should take 3 arguments. The operation, which is our plus, minus, multiplication, or division. It should take in a value, which is a number, and another value, which is a number. The function should return the result of the numbers after applying the chosen operation. Cool. So we need to create a function that takes in our operator and 2 numbers and applies that operator to those 2 numbers. Cool. Let's do it. Open it up in VS Code. Let's go ahead and save this file and get rid of it. And here, let's bring in our title. Let's grab our function. And let's grab our test. So this one's going to be very easy. Okay. So we have our console logs. We're calling our function here. We have 3, you can see here, we're passing in 3 arguments, our operation, our value, and that's these here. And this will be our expected output. So let's get Quokka started up. Okay. Cool. So this is going to be super easy. This is going to be a one-liner. Well, all we need to do, whoops, we need to go ahead and we need to return. We're going to do, we're going to use backticks. And we're going to say we want to take our first value, which is value 1. And then we want to put in our operation. So we're going to put our operation in between our 2 values, just like a normal equation. And this will be valued 2. And you can see that what this is giving us is our equation right here. 4 plus 7, 15 minus 8. So it's not running the equation for us. It's not giving us the answer. So the way that we get that is there's a built-in function called eval. So if we wrap our thing in parentheses and we type eval, it evaluates our string and gives us our answer. 11, 11, -3, -3, 25, 25, 7, 7. Cool. So that works. So let's throw it into Code Wars and see if it works. Test it out. Nice. All tests passed. Let's attempt it. Cool. Told us correcto mundo. That's right. Okay, so let's submit and let's see how other users solved it. All right. So this person used a switch. They passed in the operation. They're giving their operators as cases, and they're running it against the values. This is what we did with the eval. They did a switch, cases, and then they're passing in the operation. Cool. All right, let's do our next one. Find the divisors. Running pretty smoothly today. I probably just jinxed it though. Let's create a function named divisors that takes an integer that will be greater than 1 and returns an array with all of the integer's divisors except for 1 and the number itself. And they want them in order from smallest to largest. If the number is prime, return integer is prime. Okay, so you can see here if they pass in 12, it should return all the divisors, which is 2, 3, 4, and 6. There's only one divisor of 25, which is 5. And if they pass in something that's prime, we should return that it is prime. Cool. So let's do it. And let's pass in our title. Let's grab our function. And our test. Okay. So here's our function. Here's our input that we're passing in. Right now we're getting undefined because our code's not doing anything, but this is our expected output. First thing we want to do is let's create a place to store our divisors. So we'll say let divisor equal an empty array, and you can think of an empty array as just like a box for us to store different values in. And now we want to loop we want to loop over, and if we want to go number by number, and if our integer at index is ever equal to 0, then we know that that's a divisor. So we're going to push that into our box. Right? And we're going to do that all the way up until our number. So what we're going to say is we're going to create a loop, but we want to let our index equal 2, and we want our value to be our integer. Right? And then we'll increment. So we'll say if if our integer and we want to get the remainder, and we want to do it against the index. We're gonna keep checking it against each number, and if that is equal to 0, then we want to push to our box, to our divisor box. So we'll say divisor dot push dot push, and we want to push our index because we know that that's a divisor of our number. So we'll do it like that. So that should do it. That will give us our divisors. But the problem is if the number is prime, we need to figure that out. Because if it's prime, we need to return the number plus is prime. So we could say, let's go ahead and return. And we'll use a ternary statement, which is like an if statement. We'll say if our divisor dot length, so that's checking to see if it even has any numbers in it. If our divisor dot length, then we want to return our divisor because that means we know that we have numbers in it. So we'll go ahead and do that. If not, then we know it's prime. So we'll say we'll pass in our integer. And we'll say is, how do they have it written out? Integer is prime, so just all lowercase. Integer is prime. So 13 is prime, so that's working. And our arrays look correct. Yes, yes, cool. So that works. Let's throw it into Code Wars. Let's test it out. Nice. All passing. Let's attempt. And they all pass. Cool. So let's submit. Check out everybody else's responses. All right. So, they created a place to store their values. They're looping through. So they're doing the same thing that we did. They wrote it. This is a really funky way to write it, though. Here's what we did, almost exactly. Cool. I spread out the array. They put keys, so they created an array of a certain amount of length. They sliced. And they filtered out the numbers where they weren't equal to 0. And they returned it the same way that we did. Coolio. So let's do one more, maybe 2 more. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Let's open it in a new tab. We can go ahead and stop running Quokka on this. Okay. So Nathan loves cycling. Because Nathan knows it is important to stay hydrated, he drinks 0.5 liters of water per hour while he's cycling. We're given the time in hours, and we need to return the number of liters Nathan will drink, rounded to the smallest value. Cool. Seems simple enough. Let's open VS Code. Title. They give us a lot of tests. Seems kind of unnecessary. Okay. So we're calling our function here, passing in our the amount of hours that he rode, and we need to figure out how many liters of water he drank in that amount of time, rounded to the smallest number. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. Let's start up Quokka. So let's go ahead and bring all these down. So we're getting undefined return. This is our expected output, the number here. Okay. So what do we need to do? So he drinks 0.5 liters of water per hour. So we would just take our time and times it by 0.5, right? And then we'll have to round it. So let's return our time times 0.5. And then we need to round down. So we'll put we'll wrap this in parentheses and we'll say math.floor. And that will round down for us. And it looks like it's working. 1100660055 893. Cool. Easy peasy. So let's go ahead and chunk that in. Test. Passed. Attempt. Passed. Submit. And let's check everybody else's answer out. And as you can see, they did it the same exact way that we did. Same exact way. Well, they divided by 2. Oh, yeah. So I guess that works as well, because you're timesing by 0.5. Divided by 2. So yeah, all the same. They use parcent instead of math.floor. It works as well. Okay, cool. Alright, so I think that's all we'll do today. We're up at 30 minutes. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you have a great day. Peace.